It's interesting as I researched some of Justin's work and then reading up on some Tai Chi Chuan masters' websites around where the bubbling springs originated from. And if you check out, well, here's conveniently located, here's my foot. Barbara's got hers up there too. You'll feel this kind of mustache configuration on the bottom of your foot where it curves around the ball mound and then goes to the pinky mound. And the bubbling spring is right there. And it's a kidney meridian in Chinese medicine. You did mention last week Subo, which was an interesting word for me to look up because I love those shoes that are called Subo. And now I know why they're called Subo, but that is a Japanese term, not a Chinese term. And we're doing a Chinese tradition. So this point is pretty much the root of everything, and I'll go into more explanation next week. And so in regards to the dimes, you know, right under the big toe mound and the pinky mound, and then we've got two on either side. So when we rock forward and when we rock back, we actually roll through the bubbling springs. So it's always there. Now, one of the curious things that I was discovering this week is the yoga versus the Tai Chi Cha, because the dimes are simply there to bring our awareness and also to create relaxation, which is not necessarily the case in yoga. So why don't we just play with this dime aspect, and I'll talk you through a little bit of visualization so you can experience exactly how the tension is created and then how we can actually relax more while still feeling the sensation of moving to the front of the foot or where the two dimes are or the back of the foot. Now, what's curious is this week, my arthritic toe has really been bothering me, and I know why, because of the tension. So as we come into our pause position, and let's say we step out for rocking motion, and rolling forward, I want you to actually just do a few where you start to get your little GPS located at the two dimes under the front of the feet and two dimes under the back of the feet. Then I want you to actually press those dimes into the floor as you rock forward and let your heels lift up. Now you're feeling the arches lift, the calves, all the way up to the knees, and then lower down, and really dig your heels in. And then press in. So you're feeling this active tension. Now we need this muscular strength in order for us to walk through life and to balance on one leg. But unless we're cranes or flamingos, we don't spend a ton of time balancing on one leg. So now do that a few more times and just feel the value of building strength in your arches, in your calves, in your shins. This actually helps to support the health of the joint of the knee, of the ankles, and even all the way up into the hips, Tom. So let's do just two more and really press into those dimes and then relax that. Shake out your legs and come back to your pause position. Now, you may feel that all the way up into your pelvis, depending on how you were able to do that. A nice exercise to do, and Tom, I might recommend this for you from a yoga therapeutic standpoint. You don't have to do this, but I'm just demonstrating, is if you're on your stair step and you just take time to lift and lower the heels. Now you can do this with your toes on the floor, certainly, but to allow the heels to sink even further, you begin to feel this strength that you're building. However, we're talking about Tai Chi Cha. And it's a good thing to understand, but ultimately we let it go. So now as you come to your pause position, bring your attention down to not your dimes, but your bubbling springs. So that point, that kidney 1 meridian in acupuncture. And in Tai Chi Chuan, this is a valuable meridian in that it connects directly from the earth. It's the bottommost meridian point in the body, all the way up to the Dantian. Now, this is Tai Chi Chi, not Tai Chi Chuan, based on Tai Chi Chi. So we have this direct connection. Come into our rocking motion, having awareness of those points, but let's relax those points and feel ourselves just moving over the bubbling springs and then back over the bubbling springs. Now, your bubbling springs can either give you energy or they can create agitation, right? So the effervescent quality of just bubbling molecules can create one or the other. So in our Tai Chi Chi practice, we want to create that sense of calm and serenity in the whole central nervous system. And so as we use those dimes as just GPS trailheads, we can move over and back over the bubbling springs with less agitation and more calm. And let's do 2 more. And we'll close. And as you come into your pause position now, feel equal weight. So the dimes are just really a good visualization. And then like most of the visualizations, we let it go and we just feel the sensations. Okay. And this notion of moving from the bottoms of the feet, to quote Justin Stone, he was specific with 3 reasons why we pay attention to the bottoms of the feet. One, of course, is it so the mind doesn't wander. The second one, which was interesting, because, you know, we work with the Dantian. That's the center of all of our movements anyway. What does that have to do with the feet? Well, in Tai Chi Chuan, the energetic meridian moves through the crown of the head, through the Dantian, to the point at the bottom of the foot. And at the bottom of the foot is the water element of the kidney point, as I mentioned. And so as we focus on the bottoms of the feet, we are still connected to the Dantian. Now, in the beginning, it's more difficult for people to find the Dantian, to move from the Dantian. I mean, how many of you can relate to that? It took me a while to figure out what the heck, first of all, how to spell it, second of all, how to say it, and third of all, where to find it. So once we're able to find it, then of course it can sometimes get in the way of our breathing and other things we get distracted by. So that's the second reason to focus on the bottom of the feet, because it's still connected to the Dantian. And the third reason, since Tai Chi Chi was inspired by Tai Chi Chuan, given that he was a Tai Chi Chuan master himself, the bottoms of the feet, in reference to this bubbling well, it's more biomechanical and physical than it. Go ahead and just shift onto your right foot. Feel the weight and then release. And this slightly relates to the walking question you had, Larry. And then shift and then release. Now, as you continue to shift from one foot onto the right foot and then release, think of your bones as mobile. And as you shift forward, think of your bones as kind of opening up. And then as you shift back or you take the weight off, they close up and in. And then as you rock onto them, they kind of spread wide. And then as you shift off, they kind of pull in. Can you feel that? I'm just doing a little demo, like my knuckles and fingers are the bones of the feet. So much like everything else in our bodies and the universe, everything ebbs and flows, including the movement of the bones in our feet forward and back. So now imagine as you shift forward, this opening of the bottoms of the feet is actually connecting more deeply to the earth and the magnetic force of the earth's energy. And as you rock back, it's pulling that energy up to store where, well, now that you know you have a connection between the bottoms of the feet and the dantian, it stores it into the dantian. And so that was a new awareness for me of why the bottoms of the feet are important, why it's important to focus on them, and also perhaps why they call it the bubbling springs. There's an effervescent kind of energy that pulls up when you release your weight. Now, since it's the water element, of course, bubbling springs seems appropriate. The final and third, or the last thing that Justin had to say is the most important thing about bringing the heart energy, the fire of the heart energy, down to meet the water element in order to dissipate any excess, right? So when we are filled with chi, with this vital force and energy, it becomes a metabolic process of where we release excess, whether it's excess mind chatter, whether it's excess weight, whether it's excess stagnation. And then, of course, the benefits beyond that are the spiritual benefits of how, once everything is balanced, there seems to be much more synchronicity with life. So I was benefited by all this information. I thought it was really interesting and had never really explored the bubbling springs at the bottoms of the feet quite like that. So thank you, Larry, for your inquiry and for your attention. And now, perhaps when we move with Tai Chi Cha, as Tom decides what he's going to say next, as we move with Tai Chi Cha next, sure, we got those dimes under our big toe, pinky toe, heel and heel. But those come and go, right? Because those are just kind of visual points so that we can feel the weight shift and soften. But the energy that we draw up and in each time we rock forward and back is sustaining. So I hope you found that valuable. Thank you.
Fact that because I was working with those dimes and really feeling the whole part of my foot, when I came back doing our exercise of 6 healing sounds, that's exactly what I felt. My coming back, I was like, oh my gosh, there was an amazing energy that was coming right up through that bubbling springs, which I hadn't felt in a long time. And so it made me think again of, like thought, chi follows thought follows chi. So if chi follows thought, and I'm thinking, and suddenly, without being in my head, I really felt this wonderful bubbling springs energy.
I'll make some comments, but and maybe we'll do a little moving, and maybe we won't for an exercise. But we've been talking about the bubbling springs and the bottom of the feet and all of that, and relationship with the kidneys. 6 healing sounds. This kind of ties into 6 healing sounds. Because we all know we do 3 sets, but at the end, we do 5 repetitions. And so we do more of that one movement, that side to side with the shui as we're going. The shui refers to the kidneys. How does that not just tie it all in, right? Justin felt the moves. He was led to do it that way. Those are ancient sounds passed down orally, not written, and he picked them up and felt compelled to put them in 6 healing sounds.